I loved growing up in Florida. My family moved to Central Florida when I was 1, so my entire childhood was filled with Florida memories. When I was a kid, the Gulf Coast, that was our beach spot. Anywhere from Pier 60 to the north to Anna Marie Island to the south. So when Indian Rocks called me to be the pastor, in many ways, I felt like I was coming home. This month marks 3 years of us living here and me being the pastor. I've learned some things about our city. It's a beautiful place, from the sugar white beach sand to the cityscape of downtown St. Petersburg. But the thing that I notice most, this place, it's packed. There's people everywhere. We live in the most densely populated county in all of Florida by a long shot. Almost 1 million people packed into this tight little sliver of land. You know what else I've learned about our city? It's vastly unchurched. Only 8% of our county claims to go to church. That means we have about 900,000 people who are lost and separated from God. Everywhere you drive, every neighborhood, the vast majority of those people around you, they don't know Jesus. When I drive around our city, it breaks my heart. Many of the churches that were once healthy, they've fallen on hard times. Many have abandoned their theology. Many have closed their doors. Many, they're just gone. When I drive around Pinellas County, I have a burden. I have a burden for the broken people in our county. I have a burden to see us rebuild the dying churches of our region. Over the next 4 weeks, we're going to study the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah was a highly influential man, the cupbearer to the king of Persia. He was just a godly businessman who had a burden for God's glory, kind of like many of you. In 586 BC, the Israelites, God's people, they disobeyed God and they were taken into Babylonian captivity under King Nebuchadnezzar, a wicked king. The Babylonians destroyed the temple, they tore down Jerusalem's walls, and they carried the Jews off into exile. In the mid-400s, years later, the exile was over. Nebuchadnezzar was dead. Many of the Jews had returned to Jerusalem. They went back to take possession of the land. But many of the Jews, they stayed in Persia. And one of those families that stayed there was Nehemiah's family. He never visited Jerusalem, but for him, Jerusalem was always home. It was an important city for the glory of God. So one day, Nehemiah, he received a message that he just couldn't ignore. The walls of the city had been destroyed. The gates were burned to the ground. The city was in ruins. This news, it shakes him to the core. It was a burden so deep that he couldn't ignore it, and this burden drove him to action. So he gets permission from the king and gathers all the resources, and he gets to work rebuilding the walls of the city, brick by brick. The story of Nehemiah is so moving that people are still talking about it today, including us. Every January, we spend 4 weeks doing a Bible study on personal finances. We teach biblical concepts about how God is the owner and we are the managers. We think it's important for believers to have a plan for their finances. Give, save, live on the rest. We aim at cheerful, generous, proportional storehouse giving. We try to take steps up the generosity ladder. So throughout this series, we're going to revisit some of those concepts. But the truth is, money, it really isn't even about money. Money is connected to your passions. That's why Jesus said that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Our church has always been passionate about reaching our city. This church was built on the backs of sacrificial, generous, Jesus-loving people. But I believe God is giving us a fresh new opportunity, a chance to rebuild the walls of the churches in our city. Last year, God allowed us to do this at a church down in St. Petersburg, a church that was down to about 30 senior adults, literally about to close its doors. And today, they have 300 members worshiping every Sunday. They have a bustling kids ministry and they're baptizing folks every month. I believe God is calling us to do more, calling us to put a neighborhood church with a neighborhood pastor speaking the neighborhood language in every neighborhood of Pinellas County. Nehemiah developed a strategy to rebuild the walls of his city. This is our strategy for 2026. At Indian Rocks, everything we do here is part of one big mission. That's why we're calling our giving strategy One Mission. As you consider your giving for 2026, I want you to take some time and pray about everything that you would give to Indian Rocks this year. Our final day for turning in a commitment card is Sunday, February 1st. On that day, I'm going to share with you some exciting things about where we're headed as a church. God is giving us some great opportunities to plant more churches. He's giving us a chance to rebuild churches for His glory. Psalm 127 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who labor are laboring in vain." If we're going to rebuild, it'll only happen through God's blessing. Do you have a burden for our city? Do you want to see the churches of this city rebuilt? Do you want to see God's glory in Pinellas County? If it's going to happen, it'll be one neighborhood at a time, neighborhood by neighborhood, church by church, brick by brick. This is our moment. This is our county. These are our neighbors, and God has placed us here right now for such a time as this. So at all of our campuses, in every language, let's get out our Bibles, let's get out our listening guides, let's open to Nehemiah chapter 1, and let's see how God wants to rebuild brick by brick.